He is a design phenomenon and a big influence on young designers across the world. An expert in illustration systems, storytelling, and the art of comics. All the way from Mexico, Pablo Stanley.
Oh! Okay, there you go. Thank you. Namaskara, everyone. Hello. Thank you so much for being here. And well, oh my God, like I saw all the energy that you guys had and I got too excited. And I'm hopefully going to be able to deliver because I've been working on this thing for a long time. Today we're going to talk about what my team and I at Lummi have learned while designing and building apps with AI. Today, this is what we have on our agenda. Honestly, I'm going to be talking a little bit about everything. It's going to be more of a brain dump. We'll start with an intro. We're going to get into something philosophical. We're talking about working with AI, go over some UX patterns, and then we'll try to build an app. And, well, let's get started with a bit about me and our team at Lummi and the why and other stuff. So, well, hi, I'm Pablo Stanley. I've done UX design. I've done graphic design, posters, doodles, illustration systems, workshops, political stuff, social stuff, video tutorials, courses, a newsletter, you should subscribe, design events, animated series, an NFT project. Remember NFTs? Okay, yeah. Sorry. I also, comics, as in printed comics, but also like web comics, and community events, and motivational speaking, and exhibitions. Oh my God, so many things. Apps, character design, and bots. Which we all agree are the most important thing. These are my magnum opus, you know? This is like the most important thing so far. Recently, I've been working with my team on AI-powered tools. And for example, Lummi. Now, here's the part where I do a commercial. Okay, so bear with me. This is just a little commercial, but it kind of makes sense. Lummi is a free gallery of stock photos, and it's all generated with AI. And each image is carefully curated by humans, and we only show the best. And, well, which means that we filter out all the images with all the uncanny valley kind of thing, and just like, if it has 6 fingers, you will not see it there. And we have 3 pillars, which are photos, illustrations, and 3D renders, and we're working on video and sound too. And we have built integrations so designers can find us everywhere. And we have done a lot of different tools with AI that make our collections amazing. And for example, we have something that's called Reframe, so you can automatically get the same photo and without cropping it in multiple aspect ratios. And with AI, we also made something that is called Choose, which just means that you can just bring your photos or find a photo that you really like and then create more images with that same vibe. And then retouch, well, like, hey, just like, hey, you don't like something, you change it, you add something, or you change the color, you just retouch it, but in a way that is very natural. And well, okay, that's the end of the commercial. And well, the thing is that while we have been building these tools, we have been learning a ton of different things. And we have noticed that while AI models, LLMs and diffusion models are becoming more and more powerful, their full potential is often hidden. And I think this is because of poor communication between the user and the machine. And the issue is that we're no longer designing interfaces just for humans pulling levers and pressing buttons. Now we're building a bridge between what human intuition is and what I like to call the machine intelligence. And as designers and devs, we're building that relationship between both of these worlds, making it hopefully seamless. And here's the thing. The talk is called the AI UX patterns, but in reality, AI UX patterns are regular UX. They just sound cooler if you say, hey, AI UX patterns, but it's just the same stuff. They're the same design principles we have always used. Good old UX as guiding users, simplifying inputs, giving feedback. And the difference right now is that, well, now that we're designing with these things that are super smart, and they might take our jobs. No, but it can predict, it can learn, it can adapt. It's not just a simple action anymore. It's not a dumb machine that behaves like with a simple task. Now it kind of behaves like a human, for which you might think, well, that's good now, but it can create confusion in how you start to interact with it. So at the end of the day, our jobs as designers is still about making things easy to use, whether it's powered by AI or not. Okay, enough with philosophy on this thing, just like this communication. Let's talk about how tools are actually integrating AI right now. Since we're seeing more and more apps, just like now with AI, and then they're putting AI into everything. And some of them are in actually pretty cool ways. And some are adding AI to improve their services or helping with productivity, while others are what I like to call AI first. Meaning the AI is the core of what they do. And AI-enhanced apps are apps that are already exist. You know, apps that we were using before AI, or that we didn't even know that they were using AI. And they use AI to improve their existing features. The AI is almost like invisible, and they are in the background, helping with all the personalization, automation, or optimizing, and they all usually use machine learning. For example, Spotify gives you personalized music and recommendations, and Instagram uses AI to just suggest content and other stuff. Some are changing how we work and create by making productivity and creative apps better using LLMs and diffusion models. For example, Notion. Notion, hey, it's good with generating ideas, summarizing content, writing content. Grammarly improves your grammar and writing. And there are others, there are the AI-first apps. They're built entirely around AI. And the main experience or value they provide is all powered by AI. For example, well, we all know ChatGPT. It's just like AI conversations and content generation. And for example, another one is Midjourney, that is like a creation of images. Now, let's talk about how we, as designers, can work with AI. This is one of the concepts. It's almost like 3 talks combined into one. And this one, we're going to talk about right now how we can use these tools that already exist, okay? And if we understand how to use AI, and this is important to use these tools because they can become our design partner. And by understanding this, how they work, the mechanics behind it, we start to learn how to design products that use AI too. And so that gives us, I don't know, that inspiration, that imagination to create tools that use its power. So 5 tips to work with the robots, as I like to call them. First, always bring AI in your process. And that means give it a seat at the table. Try integrating it into different parts of your work, like even just inviting to the calls, to the meetings, like, hey, ask the AI, what do you think? That way you really test its limits and learn where it helps and where it sucks. Keep the human in the loop. That means, well, you. And that means that the robots, I mean, we get scared with them and we see them so capable, but they still need you and your judgment. And yeah, these things are getting better, but they still need to be guided. And think of yourself as you're becoming more and more, we're all becoming more and more like creative directors or even like product managers managing these things who we're instructing these things as they go. And so you see yourself as the boss of these things. And also, another thing that is really important is when you're working with these things is giving these the LLM or the future model just like, hey, having a clear role. The thing is that I don't know if you notice how AI has been trained to be super eager and helpful. It's like it's very smart and it's very capable, but it's always just like happy to help you. It's kind of like an intern, and it can do it all. But if you look closely, it really just does generic stuff. It gives you the average, the boring, vanilla answers. And that's because the default output from models is just generic. That's because of due to weight averaging. So to get better results, if possible, you should share the information that is specific about that project that you're working on, or also, well, really important, give it a specific task or a specific role, like a persona. So just like say something like, you are a user from this place who has this goal and has this concern. And then like try to get ideas from that. Or even just like, hey, you're a product manager. Now help me with the product management thing. And you're an engineer. See, like with AI, we're going to replace them. They're not going to replace us, okay? So, also, another thing, let AI handle the boring tasks. That means that automate the repetitive stuff so you can focus on the cool stuff, the creative work that truly matters. And I know that you see it as like, oh, but it's already doing the cool stuff. I wanted to draw, I wanted to write. But it can help with your emails, with summaries, analyzing data, finding patterns, spitting tables. It can do all that tedious work. And so you can use it to free up your time and do the other cool stuff. And last, understand that AI is evolving. And this is what you're using right now is the worst version that you will use for now. But tomorrow, it will get better. Today's limitations won't last. So be ready to adapt as it improves. We're all laughing when we will see AI photos with 6 fingers or with the spaghetti like all over the place, and we'll be like, oh, silly robot. It cannot make a hand. So dumb. But the robots are not making that mistake anymore. They're getting really good. We're now like, oh my God, they can draw hands. So, I don't know, embrace its current imperfections because they will start getting better. And yeah, so the 5 tips, include them, keep the human, you in the loop, you are guiding them, give them a role, and let them handle the boring tasks. And they're gonna get better. So I understand that. Okay, so that was just like, using AI tools. Now, let's get philosophical again, okay? As I mentioned before, as designers, we have the job of bridging 2 worlds, human intuition and machine logic. And now, AI, despite how advanced and impressive it is, it doesn't really think or reason the way we do. It just processes. It really goes through a massive amount of data, finding patterns, analyzing statistics, making predictions, or just completing tasks based on those patterns. It's not using intuition or really understanding anything. It's just following formulas. It might seem like it gets us, but it's still sticking to the rules we have set to it. But it would be naive to see these tools as just machines, because these things just feel incredibly smart, and the user sees them that way too, sees them as like they truly understand them, which means their expectations are super high. And sure, the robots can understand and generate natural language, but they're still limited by the app's backend and the specific actions they're designed to support. So when you create an app with AI, it cannot really do anything unless you connect it to different things, to different tasks. So you have to understand that stuff too. So as designers, it's our job to shape how these interactions just feel natural to the user. Okay, so users need to know what the machine can do and cannot do, so they know what to expect, and the machine needs to communicate clearly to align with the user's goals. Okay, we're getting to the meaty part, okay? Now, to make sure we're on the same page as the machine, I put together some pillars of patterns we can use when creating great UX for AI. And well, these are really simple. As you can see, they're regular UX stuff. It's just like guides, inputs, personalization, transparency, and character. Some of them are a little bit more fussy and more abstract, and some of them are really specific. Just put a button. So I'll say the first three are the most tactical, I would say, and maybe the most important and the easier to understand. And that's, well, I will add more examples. So let's just start with guides, and which are about like showing users how to interact with AI effectively. So guides provide this clear, actionable hints or instructions to help users get the most out of the tool. Even though, again, AI can process natural language, but users still need to know what the AI can actually get done. The goal of guides is to help people use AI confidently. Like it clarifies what is possible, and it even can inspire them, like what are some uses that they were not expecting. It helps really understand the career capabilities, reduce fear, inspire users by showing what's possible. And here are some UX patterns that help make guides more effective. Like in the guides, there's placeholders. Again, not different. We already had placeholders. We're just like going to have to use them now, knowing that they're powered by AI. So in the text fields, like give users a starting point so they avoid the blank page feeling, right? And use also progressive disclosure to gradually reveal options based on the different user inputs to just avoid overwhelming them with too many choices to choose at once. You can also, tool tips and hints, again, not very different. The idea is to show what is possible. Tutorials to just walk the users through features step by step. This is what it can do. This is where the things are. And also conversation starters or examples of tasks that AI can handle. Let's give new users ideas and show them how to get started right away. So guides, the thing is that they can grow in a few ways. Well, it can be too vague. It doesn't give enough detail. If users don't know what to do, they get stuck. For example, generic placeholders like, hey, type here, doesn't really help, right? It can also over-explain, overwhelming users with too much information or instructions, especially at the beginning. And also, if you guys are not context-aware, like meaning knowing what is happening at the moment, what the user is asking, it should be suggesting an action depending on the context. But if it's not doing it, the things that it suggests might feel irrelevant or frustrating. And if the guide keeps suggesting the same thing, well, and if it's ignoring the user saying like, no, I don't want that, well, it can become more annoying than helpful. And okay, so some examples of guides. For example, like, I'm sure that a lot of you have used ChatGPT. These are some very basic, some starting points from ChatGPT. Also, some Runway, which is a tool to create videos and to create images, uses something called examples, and that way you can just get started on what to create. Because again, it's like it can do anything, but sometimes you're like, oh, I don't even know where to start. Also, Perplexity, it gives you suggestions on what to focus. Like as soon as you put the input, it's just like, boom, some suggestions appear. Also, Notion, like gives you some suggestions on what to do, like depending on your selection or where you are in context. And also Claude's Get Started. Like it gets started with an example below, just like some things that you might need. And Pi is also an AI assistant that has a bunch of suggested topics to just start a conversation. And they're actually really cool. They feel a little bit more natural and not as, as mechanical as others. And Gemini is another AI that has a lot of starting points on the top. So this is a common pattern that others are using just to give users that ability to know where to start, know what it can do, and just like, get done quickly. For example, also, Grok has the starting points. And yeah. Okay, so now, let's move on to inputs, and this is how users tell the AI what they want. It's what they type, they say, they upload, basically the way the human communicates with the machine. The idea is to make giving instructions easy, natural, so people don't get frustrated figuring out how to ask what they need. And which means they also need the right input. We commonly fall in the trap of just adding a text input, but that can be too open. Just like usually just like, we have AI now, well, put a chat box and see what happens. But it's too open, and maybe the things are not really connected to anything. So it's like you need the right input for the right task. For good inputs, just like feel clear, like the AI just gets it, without making people work hard or just figure out what they aim to. And make it, so the goals to do this is just keep it clear, make sure people can easily say what they need, make it simple, easy, offer options so people can choose from what they can give, the information they give, like typing, talking, or something else. And yeah, some patterns it's just like, hey, natural talk. This is the most common. You will see like an input that is just like very open. The only challenge with this is that it can lead to very unpredictable results. If it's too open, the conversation can go anywhere. And if you're working with a very specific tool, maybe that conversation will not go anywhere and you don't want that. So you want to give them options too, setting like rails on guide them, especially if the AI can only do specific things. Also, keep it simple, like break forms into small, easy steps so users don't feel overwhelmed. So first do this is the information that I need first, then I need this, and then I need this, instead of just like putting one input where let's hope that the user just puts all the things that we need. No, actually put them in steps so you get the information right. And, well, for example, it's not only writing, but there's other things that these things can understand, like voice, photos, documents, PDFs, text files. So let users talk to the machine in different ways that are not just natural. So, for example, uploading a file. So here's what to avoid. Hey, don't ask for too much. Don't make it lengthy. Basic US stuff. Remember accessibility. Make sure everyone can use it and give them options to do different things. If they cannot use one input, maybe they can use a different input. Avoid confusion. If your inputs don't clearly explain what you're asking for, users feel lost when the AI doesn't respond as they expected. And so some examples, for example, there's an app called Lid, and it uses a voice input. That's how you interact with the app. Notion we were talking before about Notion, but actually you can use a selection as an input. You use a selection, and then that is almost like the part of the prompt you're giving Notion so they can create something new. With Clause, you can also add documents and photos. In Lummi, we actually also allow people to upload their photos and just like use their own styles. That way they can create images. And Wrongway allows you to use what is called like a seed to upload an image or a video, and also Picas styles. It has different styles, and that way it becomes part of the prompt, part of the input, and that way you don't have to write it. And Picas also has this redo and video input, so there's already a video there, and then you can use it as a starting point to actually create something new. So you start seeing that the ways to start interacting with the AI are not just text. It's not just writing. It's actually using different things that in context feel good. And for example, the script is one of the best ones, I think, in how they define their actions, because they are very specific about what you can do. This button does this thing. It's using AI, but it does just this specific thing. So I love this script because of that, because it's very clear about what you can expect. So now, another pattern, UX pattern, is personalization. It's about letting users take charge. It means they can adjust how the AI works to match what they like, their preferences, and think of it like giving users the ability to fine-tune the AI to their data, their info, their preferences, their settings, so they feel like the AI is working for them, that is not the other way around. And control, just like, hey, give users the tools to adjust things like intensity, the tone, the voice, the focus, the flexibility. Also, you let people pick the settings that work for them, whether they want the AI to be more formal, fun, or something else. And also, very important, ownership, as like users need to feel like they are in control. They feel like they're more connected to the experience. It's not just this black box that spits things and is like, well, let's see what happens. No, they're actually using it and they're controlling it. And it's their tool. Examples of like, hey, this UI, UX patterns, very simple. These are very UI-ish patterns. It's like sliders to just adjust. Like, think of them like equalizers to adjust the different things that the AI can do. And this is just like sets the different limits of where to go. Also, like simple controls like on and off switches for features or different modes of what the AI can do too. You can allow the user to select the type of version of the model. There's a lot of different versions of a model that are happening, and different LLMs that are coming from different places, and some of them are actually fine-tuned for very specific things. So you can surface those things to the user so they have control on like what kind of model they want, or even just fine-tune their own model. Adjusting biases, so give users a way to tell what they care about, a bias that is personal bias, like the AI, my robot to behave this way, and like, or talk about a specific topic or a specific perspective. And now, things that could go wrong with personalization is that it can be regular UX, overwhelming, confusing. It can, if it ignores the preferences and it doesn't seem to make any difference or remember the user settings, it can, as a user, you can really lose the trust really quickly. And if the user changes the setting and they're like, did it do anything? Did it do anything different? Well, they might not even think it's even working, you know? So, for example, ChatGPT allows you to customize your own output, how you, the custom instructions, they call them, as in like, hey, I want you to behave this way. They leave it really open, which I suppose it works for them, but I don't think is the best example, but I can see that how they put it that way, because it's like they're just trusting that people will know how to interact with these things and how to talk to them, and they're leaving really open. I think that there's a better way to do that. Perplexity has a way to focus, as in like, hey, these are the things, what is the type of output that you want? If you want it academic, you want it for web, for video, and also some types of preferences. You can also, something that is really, remember I was telling you about, hey, give it a specific role or persona. Behind the scenes, this is also called a system prompt. And for example, Claude allows you to give the LLM a system prompt. So for example, hey, you are an engineer, you're a product manager, you are this, in charge of this. So giving it a role and allowing the user to just like have that nudge to say like, hey, you can give it a role too. It's pretty cool. Midjourney also uses a model to personalize. So you can train your own model and suddenly the images that appear actually are, it's kind of, I don't know, scary because they look really good and they look like, oh, it's almost like a taste maker. And Picas allows you to use different seeds and settings, and that's it. Okay, so transparency, another UX pattern. Hey, it's about being clear with users. They want to understand how the AI works and what it's doing behind the scenes. And the AI, it shouldn't feel like a black box. It should explain why it's making certain decisions or recommendations, what is happening to the data, and is it using my data? So the goal is just to build a trust, like show users how all the things are being processed behind the scenes, like, oh, how is it using their stuff, their preferences? Also make sure users know why the AI gave a particular result or made a certain suggestion, and provide data privacy and ownership. Hey, you are the owner of this data, and if not, well, tell them what is happening to the data and also what is happening to their privacy. So UX patterns, hey, after the AI makes a decision, hey, just explain what happened. Like, here's why I suggested this. A message just shows how the AI arrive at its conclusion. Show how confident the AI is in its answers or suggestions. Like saying, I don't know. Usually the AI is like when you talk with these things, sometimes they talk like it's certain and it's the truth, and it's like they feel like almost 100% sure. So maybe there's a step in which you can ask it like, hey, how certain are you of this answer, and expose that to the user. So you can even show where the info is coming from. What is the source of this info? And that way it can just like see, the user can understand how reliable the information is being output is. So let users view a log of also past interactions and a history of decisions, and showing what actions were taking and why, and clearly state what the AI can and cannot do. For example, this tool can only handle tasks related to X and Y, and just this sets realistic expectations. So, okay, so some examples. It's like, for example, so very small, very little, but ChatGPT tells you it can make mistakes, and then they have a link. Also, Figma's, they have, if you go through their settings, you're going to find that they have content training, and it's a setting that is turned on by default, by the way, so if you want to turn it off, you should go there. And let Figma use the team's content to train AI models, and they say they take steps to protect your data, but well, if you're signing an NDA, maybe you want to turn that off. OpenAI and Perplexity's model improvement, it's just like it allows you to just like, hey, turn it on if you want to improve the model. You are kind of participating and you're saying, yeah, use my data, but also allow them to turn it off. And last but not least, hey, maybe AI we can give it a personality. It's how the AI feels, the robots feel when users interact with it. Its tone, its style, and the vibe of it. It's for all the brand designers, this is where you can shine. Because it helps users know who they're talking to. What is this thing? Or more like, who is this thing, this entity? So give the AI this consistent personality. Many times it can be just like aligned to the brand, and whether it's a professional, it can be quirky, it can be fun, and a clear character can add, it sounds a little bit cliche now, but it can be a little bit delightful and can add joy, it can make interactions cool without being, hopefully, distracting. And now, some of the UX patterns in this pillar, just like, hey, make sure that AI uses a consistent tone of voice, maybe align with the brand, maybe align with the product you're building, match the visual design to the AI's personality. Also, add subtle humor if it's possible, without interrupting the main type. But that's more of a me saying like, hey, you should add humor, but you don't have to. But for example, these scripts, they call their AI underlord. Instead of overlord, they call it underlord, as like, hey, it serves you. It's not going to overpower you. You are the one in control. Also, Notions, they added a little character to say this is the AI, this is what you're interacting. The animations are really nice, and it's like I'll be there. And in Grux, they have a thing that is called fun mode. It's kind of troll mode. I don't know. It's Elon Musk mode. Well, they have that option. And also, okay, enough with the pillars. Now, you understand everything. You were like, Pablo, I know it all. This is all news for me. So now let's together build an app powered by AI, okay? We're just going to kind of design it. And we're going to create something called the Cagator, okay? And this is, the main features of this is Moticaged, which is a personalized pep talks. And this is all powered by an AI that has the personality of Nicolas Cage. Okay, so there's another feature that is face up, so it's a AI powered photo editor and Nictionary, as in like a Cage style message translator. So if you want your messages to sound more like Nicolas Cage, you can do that. So okay, let's create this. So let's just start with Moticage, which gives the personalized pep talks. Okay, that's the feature from the Cagator. So, hey, really basic, get started. Just an input, get started. But I don't know, it kind of needs more personality, right? You want to feel like you are speaking to the Caginator. So the copy is not as inviting. So what if we change it and we give it like, hey, let's get engaged. And we have a little image. And then the input, this is actually important. Hey, well, the placeholder says you are messaging the Caginator, and also it's telling you like, hey, what is, ask Nick for a pet talk or use a starting point. So some instructions. Okay, but we need a little bit of transparency. What is really going on? So let's just add a note about the capabilities of the Caginator. I mean, Nicolas Cage is perfect. He never makes any mistakes, but the Caginator can make mistakes. So hey, you put a note about that, right? And now let's add the ability to personalize some details, right? So you add some settings, and with these settings, you tell the AI, hey, these are the Cage levels, the intensity, the motivation, the movie references, the different modifiers. Maybe you want your motivator like with shirtless Nicolas Cage or also Superman Nicolas Cage, and that way you can have a different results, right? And then from there, well, we're going to add some starting points because like, hey, let's avoid that blank page syndrome, and let's add some things to just get started. Hey, we build that, and now we add a history of all the different things that have been discussed with the Caginator. And then after that, we get to the point where, now let's just start talking with it, and you say something, it responds something, and then from there, we get some options to like, hey, allow the user to try again. Since these things, a lot of these are generative, they always give a different response. So the ability to try again, if it is a diffusion model, if it's a generative text model, like trying again, it can create a totally different result. So allow the users to do that. And not only that, but maybe use that input and say like, hey, I want it shorter, I want it more subtle, or in this case, I want it full Cage. So from there, I said, yeah, go full Cage. And then it gave me two options. So for the user also, allow the user to maybe sometimes choose between two or different outputs, like put two different, the same model, creating two generations at the same time, and then allow the user to select one of them. And then that could also help you train your own data to know how it's behaving a little bit better. And from there, you have that, and another type of input, as we were seeing before, maybe you want to add a photo or a document, and that way you are telling the Caginator to just like, hey, in context only, gave me this. Okay, face off. I have 3 minutes exactly. Okay, with face off, you add a little bit of details there. You add some styles for the Caginator. You tell it, this is the style I want. These are the different starting points that I can use. Then from there, you upload your photo. That's me as an AI. Then AI created a version of me. And from there, you have an input. You have different options. You give the user different types of control that allow them to just like say how they want their output to be. And this is because it's being trained on different models, it's being fine-tuned in different ways. And then from there, well, just like tell the user what is happening, give transparency. This is what is happening behind the scenes as your image is being uploaded and it's being created. And then after that, give them the results, but not just one result, but give them options. Give them options so they can choose one from maybe it's, and then allow them to create more. Again, these things are like, they're too imaginative, so they can always create something new. Okay, so that's it. To be continued for that. And 2 minutes. Okay, the future. Okay, before we go, I want to quickly talk about how AI may shape our future, different scenarios and what it means for designers like us. And this is pure speculation, so bear with me. And I think one possible future is AI's steady progress. Like what we are seeing right now, it's almost as good as it will get. And we will not see exponential changes as we saw with ChatGPT-4, for example. And maybe we just get like 10 to 20% each year. And this is low growth scenario, training costs and regulations to slow down AI development. And this gives us more time to adjust and just like ensures responsible use with the AI. Even with slow growth, we face challenges, and we're already starting to see bad actors using AI for scams, misinformation, but we also get amazing things like AI therapists and personalized content. And here, designers can become our creative partners. I really believe in this. And in this idea that AI really amplifies our creativity without replacing us. And another scenario, possibility, is the exponential growth scenario where AI just grows too quickly, causes society to scramble as we adapt to quick changes. In this case, societal impact and adaptation becomes crucial. Governments might struggle to keep up. And AI, it makes us more isolated, maybe. And the other one is superintelligence, God scenario. Maybe you have seen all the news about this. Oh, a lot of people getting really scared about this. And it's intriguing, but there's only 10% chance that it will happen. Wow, that's a lot, actually. Okay, in this case, superintelligent AI could become our greatest ally or take a path beyond our control. And that's, 5 seconds. And, well, now, I want to share, I'm a techno-optimist. I believe that if we guide technology thoughtfully, including AI, will lead to positive outcomes. Maybe I'm naive, but I believe that as designers, we have the power to influence how these tools, these robots, integrate into society in a positive way. We have control of that. You are going to be designing with these things. You're going to be designing the products that are powered by these robots. So, and I think that at least for now, since the future is pretty hard to predict, we should embrace AI as a tool to amplify our creativity, at least for now. And well, that's it. Conclusion. That was a lot. So, hey, stick to AI UX design principles. We can start putting these ideas into practice to improve how we work with AI and LLMs. And hey, it's important to remember that the best designer products with AI feel natural and forget like it's even there. It's like ideally, the technology becomes invisible. It's just like intuitive and part of everyday life. We don't even see it. We don't even think it's there. Like that's the goal, to make AI so easy to use that people stop thinking about the machine and just focus on what the problem they have, what they want to do. And that's it. Hold on. Dhanyavad. Yeah? Thank you so much, Bengaluru. Gracias.